Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to share my humble opinions on Dave Ramseys' 10 car buying tips. Not that I think I'm smarter than Dave Ramsey, he's a zillionaire, I'm not, but maybe my opinions might resonate a little more with all of you. But first, let's roll that intro.
Anything, money can't buy me, just anything. Money can't buy me, just anything. Money can't buy me, no, you can't buy my love. When you mess up everything and never think you own me, baby.
All right, let's get started. So who am I to give my opinion on the world-famous financial guru Dave Ramsey's 10 car buying tips? Here's who I am. I'm just a regular dude who's bought 35 cars in my lifetime. I've bought new cars, I bought used cars, I bought old cars, I've got really old cars, I bought classic cars, I've bought rare luxury cars. I mean, you name it, I've had it. That'll be in a future video, all those cars. And I don't think I've ever bought like just a regular car, just transportation vehicle. I've always been a car nut and a car enthusiast. So I assume that that's who I'm talking to right now when I share my opinions, and I think that you, if not all of you, most of you will relate to my opinions here. So let's jump right in with how his article begins. His article begins, and I have it right here, so forgive me for looking at my notes, but it begins with, and I've got to read this to you all, that quote, "Remember, the purpose of a vehicle is to get you from point A to point B, not to prove your social status to the world. As tempting as it is to hit the road in a car you can't afford, it's more likely to be a burden than a blessing, especially if it's not in your budget. Chances are your car isn't the first thing you're thinking about in the morning or when you go to bed at night. The key to happiness is not a new car, so don't pay for it like it is." That right there is blasphemy. No offense to Dave Ramsey and his team, but the day I die, I will have a ridiculous car in my garage, or I will be in that ridiculous car when it happens. That's my goal. That's my plan. That's my dream. Bottom line is I'm a car enthusiast. I love cars. So to tell me that it's just basic transportation to get from point A to point B is, well, I guess that would be my Prius. Every day I get in that Prius, there's a part of my soul that's missing because this thing's sitting in the garage. But if you watch my other videos, you know why I did that. But a car to me is way more than a basic transportation vehicle. And the fact that he says the key to happiness is not a new car, I will tell you right now, I have been happy pretty much my whole life. Little bouts of discontent and discomfort, but for the most part, always a nice, cool, fun car has brought happiness. Now, call me shallow if you will. I believe that a healthy family is important. I believe that some money in the bank is important, a fulfilled life and health and all that. Of course I do. Once you have all that there, it's totally cool to be made happy by a really cool and fun car. Hitting an on-ramp on a freeway in a Ferrari with your foot stuck in the pedal is exhilarating. Feeling is hard to describe if you've never done it before. So for them to say it's not a key to happiness, I disagree. I think it's totally cool, and nobody should feel guilty for buying a car that makes you happy. That's cool, because I believe that you absolutely do things every single day that waste money, that bring happiness. Whether it's an experience at the ski slopes or in Disneyland or going on a boat ride or kayaking or going fishing, all these things cost money, yet they bring happiness. They bring memories. My cars bring tremendous happiness. So I would say that first paragraph there pretty much just tells me that the rest of it might not resonate with all of us. But let's see. Let's jump right into number one. Number one, he says, figure out your car budget. Let's start with a bit of reality check. New cars drop in value like a bag of rocks, losing 60% of their value in the first 5 years. This isn't a smart investment. I don't need to go much further than that, but I will. You really should only consider buying new if you have plenty of money to burn. With that out of the way, your first step is deciding what you can afford to pay for a car. Leasing a car, going into debt to buy one are both bad ideas, so what you can afford is based on how much cash you can pay up front. Here's the deal. Never in my life did I go and buy well, actually, I'm lying. Pretty much most of the cars that I've bought, I've never, ever thought, I'm going to buy that car and I'm going to make a ton of money on that car. That's not why I bought the car. Anyone who thinks that a car is an investment or should perform like an investment is wildly misled. Let me just tell you right now, cars are not investments. Now, I bought an old 64 Cadillac. I bought it. I drove it for 2 years. I put some money into it, and I sold it for more than I paid for it. Not much more. Pretty much covered my costs of what I had done to improve the car. For the most part, I've always lost money on cars. I knew that going in. I knew that I would buy the thing for a bunch of money and sell it for a little bit of money. I bought a Mercedes CL55 AMG for $127,000 and traded it in like 6 years later for $12,000. That's just part of the deal with cars. But I also know that if I go to Disneyland and I spend $300 a head that day for the three of us and my family, it's going to be a $1,000 expense. And I would not take back those memories from when we've done that. And I wouldn't stop doing it just because it's a bad investment. I don't think going to Disneyland is ever going to be an investment. I don't think I'm going to go spend $1,000 at Disneyland and then on the way out, Mickey Mouse is going to hand me, a $5,000 check saying, "Good job, son." That's not going to happen. And with these cars, to even try to compare them to an investment, in my opinion, is somewhat irresponsible. You're going to lose money on cars. Just part of the deal. But you need a car to get around. And if you love cars, then you're okay with losing some money because the memories and the experience and the happiness it brings is tangible to us, to our soul, to who we are as car enthusiasts. So I will pay money for that feeling. That feeling is more valuable to me than any amount of money in the bank because it's who I am. I love these cars. So first, don't even listen to this. It's not an investment. Second, should you lease or you should pay cash? He says you should pay cash. I don't think you should pay cash, and here's why. I think especially today, based on interest rates, according to Chrysler, they have programs as low as 0% interest up to 3.9% interest, meaning that the worst interest rate for the average person out there is probably going to be about 3.9% interest. I think I'm running about 3% interest on my Hellcat. 3% interest on a loan is like free money. Why wouldn't I take that? It just makes sense right now to get that super low interest rate and then take my cash and invest it other places. A couple ideas I'm going to share with you all are just some simple investments. Some of you have said, "What stocks do you invest in?" I'm not going to share any stocks on here because I don't want somebody to go out there and get burned and blame me. But I'll tell you, if you look back just in 6 months, the opportunity just in the stock market has been incredible with 50% jumps, 100% jumps in stock prices. I have one stock account that literally was worth about $5,000 back in, I think it was April, and today it's worth $65,000. So had I taken my cash though, and bought this car and not had that money working for me, I wouldn't have the $65,000. Had I taken every bit of my $5,000-$6,000 out of that investment account to make sure that I can put it towards the purchase price of this car at 3% interest, then I would have lost the $65,000. So when there's opportunity out there to make your money work for you, to send those dollar bills out there to come back with a whole bunch of their friends, why would you put it into a car that you know is going to drop in value? We know that's going to happen. So the way I look at it, I'm going to leverage the bank's money and I'm going to put my money to work. But forget about the stock market. I have 2 apps on my phone that I got few years ago. One's called Acorns. The other one's called Stash. And I put $25 a week into one. I think it's $50 a week into the other. Now, I've been doing that for a few years now, and I'll put on the screen and show you exactly what they are. These are incidental to my life. They were just, I'm going to get them because they're kind of cool. One of them, they both actually do the roundups too, which are pretty cool. But they've both grown to, in my opinion, pretty significant amount of money. Everyone on this watching this video right now, if you don't have someplace you put money into that you feel comfortable and safe on a small level, then yes, that's irresponsible. So here's what I would say. If your car payment's, let's say, $400 a month, make sure you're putting $100 a month away in Stash and Acorns, $50 a piece. That's it. So maybe $10 or $15 a week. Over time, that money's going to grow. It's going to drop and it's going to come back up and it's going to drop again. But I'll show you some of the returns on the screen right now while I'm talking for Stash just this last year since I've started that account. And even my stock account, My Fidelity account, I'll show you, on Friday, I made over $900 on Friday. So why would I want that money sitting in my driveway not working for me? Look, I don't think we all have tons of disposable cash to where we can do both. You can pay cash for the car and you can pay cash for the other stuff. According to Dave Ramseys' group, from what I understand is they believe, you should not buy the car that you dream of until you have the cash and ability to do both. I don't believe that because I've had two people, very close people in my life, pass away at very young ages. And I'll tell you, these people didn't expect that was going to be happening to them. And had they not been living and enjoying their lives, I think they would have died with tremendous regrets. What I know is that I'm not going to die with regrets. People are going to know that I had a freaking good time all the way until my last days. I've had the cars that I've always wanted. I've enjoyed the hell out of them, and I've had a lot of fun, and I never put myself in financial jeopardy. For whatever I spend on a car payment, I'm putting 25 to 30% of that into investment accounts. And I'm talking about little dollars, $10 a week, $20 a week, stash and acorns. Just start there. I'll put links in the description below. Yes, they're affiliate links, and yes, I will get paid, but you will get paid also. I think it's $5 each of us get if you use those links. Start your account today and just start investing $5 a week and then forget about it. And what'll happen in a couple years, you'll have money compounding and growing in that account to offset money that you're losing in your cars. I'm telling you, it works. My amounts aren't massive amounts because, like I said, they're just tiny little investment accounts. I wish I would have put a lot more in there, but I'm slightly conservative when it comes to investing. So I hope that helps. Next, should you lease a car? I love leasing cars. I love taking a car that's going to lose a ton of value, paying a monthly payment, putting nothing down, paying a monthly payment basically to rent that car for 3 years, and then anything that happens to it, the dealer has to deal with, and then I just give it back to them when I'm done, and I get a brand new one. I don't have to worry about anything. When my BMW broke and I had some massive issues going on with it, I remember taking it to the dealership, and the service gentleman said, "We'll call you when your car's finished." And I said, "No, you call me when your car's finished, because this is your car, man. I don't care what happens with it." When the car was in the shop for a month, BMW sent me a check for the full lease payment for the month because I leased it for a certain amount of months. That means I get to use it for a certain amount of months. So they covered that check. So there's some benefits in leasing if you like to change cars often. You're going to lose money either way. So just accept that and stop fighting it. Enjoy it, embrace it, and have fun with your cars. Number 2, he says to narrow down your choices. And I agree with this. I think you should make sure that you don't buy something that's going to have you stressing out every single month, because there is something to be said about having a really cool car in the driveway and then not sleeping because you're scared to death it's going to get repoed. Don't put yourself in that position. Use your head. Don't overstretch yourself. But he says narrow down your choices to what would fit inside of your budget. So you might want to stretch just a little bit, especially if you're younger and you're building in your career and you know your income is going to continue to grow and go up. You can kind of grow into that car payment as long as you've got that ambition, drive, and hustle. I knew that when I bought a BMW with a $1,000 car payment in 1993 or 94 when I was 25 years old, that was a big car payment at the time, I knew that it would just push me to work harder. And I knew that I'd take my income from where it was $75,000, $80,000, and that very next year, because there was no way I was going to let anybody take that car away from me, I went to $150,000 at 25 years old. So I wasn't going to lose that car. I was going to hustle my way into it. And yeah, I may have stretched myself a little bit, but I knew that I could fit that foot into that shoe at some point financially. Number 3, do your research before you buy a car. I think that goes without saying. Everybody has the internet, so go start doing your research. Don't do what I do, which is showing up to the dealership and then laying on the floor, passing out, and handing your wallet over. That's what I do, because when I want something, I'm going to get it, and there's nothing that's going to stop me from getting it. But I'll tell you, it helps if you do your research. Number 4, he says to get a car insurance quote. I couldn't agree more. When you're going to buy a Scat Pack or a Hellcat or a Hellcat Red Eye, you should get a car insurance quote just to make sure, especially if you have a ticket or two, because you might be surprised the insurance might be a little high. What I found is it didn't go up too much from my Scat Pack to the Hellcat Red Eye because I have a really good driving record. But definitely call ahead of time, and it helps if you have a VIN number for some of these insurance companies, and most of the time they're listed on the websites. But nonetheless, at the very least, get a good feel for what you're going to pay in insurance, because the last thing you want to do is buy the car and then find out that your insurance is going to be well beyond what you can afford. So I think that's good advice. Number 5, he says to take a test drive. Obviously, you should. Did I? No. I saw this car on the lot. I said, I don't need to drive it. I want it. The first time I drove this car was after I signed the papers. Now, from what I understand, they're not supposed to do that. Didn't matter. I wanted this car. I knew I wanted this car, and I knew I would love this car. You should have seen the look on my face when I pulled off the dealership lot and I felt the power of this thing. It was astonishing. I still would have bought it, and I would have wanted it even more. So I think not test driving it probably made me less aggressive towards making sure I left with the car. But I'm glad I bought it. Number 6, he says to get a car inspection. Sure, why not? What the heck? The problem is I know people, and I know I've done it myself, where I go get a car inspection and the damn thing breaks the next day. Because the car inspection is to make sure everything's working at the time you take it in there. 3 days later, the thing breaks, which is why I believe you still need a warranty. More about that in a second. Number 7 is wait for the best time to buy a car. Now, I've always said this, and I agree with this. I believe, and I have experience, that the best time to buy a car is the end of the month, end of the year, end of a quarter. All these companies are publicly traded, but even small businesses, small car lots, they need to hit monthly quotas. The sales guy or gal are being pushed to hit certain numbers every single month, and a lot of times their job depends on them hitting certain numbers. The dealership, lots of metrics are tied towards them hitting certain numbers. Future availability of other cars, rankings nationally, all that fun stuff. Also, quarterly reports to Wall Street. So the end of the month, end of a quarter, end of a year, it's always going to be the best time. But what time of day? What I found is going to a dealership on a Thursday morning around 10 a.m. You will have, closer to the end of the month, you will have the car salesman fighting to get your deal. That's how I bought my Scat Pack, and it worked great because I was the only person in the dealership. They wanted to get that deal moved. I had everybody's attention, all the finance people, all the sales managers. Everybody was slowed down and helping make decisions. So hopefully that can help you. Number 8, he says to always negotiate. Absolutely. And here's the deal. What he says is, as a cash buyer, you've got a strong negotiating position. I will tell you, I bought 35 cars. I've never paid cash for one of them. The few times that I went in saying I'm going to pay cash for a car because I wanted to flex like I've got the money, or I was using my credit union money and it was basically going to be cash to that dealer as far as they were concerned, they weren't as excited, and here's why. And I'm in a business like this too. These businesses, these car dealers, make money on financing. If you buy a Dodge Challenger and it's financed through your credit union, Fiat Chrysler doesn't get any extra money. It doesn't go towards their financial objectives. If you finance the car through Fiat Chrysler at, let's say it's 3.9%, they're making 3.9% interest on that car, and they got the markup on the car, meaning the profit built into the car. So when you say I'm paying cash, even the salesmen, oftentimes you'll see they are not flattered. They're not impressed at all by that. As a matter of fact, what they believe is that you believe you're going to get, there's a bird trying to fly in my car. They believe that you believe you're going to get a deal on the car, and they are immediately building that wall between you and them because they want to knock you down a little bit to make sure you know they don't care that you're paying cash. As a matter of fact, the fact that you said you're paying cash immediately gets them on the defensive. So here's what I tell them. I have the ability to pay cash, to finance, whatever will get me the best deal on that car. You could even go in there and say you're not paying cash, work the deal as though you're financing it, and get a 3-day option after you sign the papers and leave in that car, and then pay the car in cash, and they will have probably given you a slightly better deal because you financed through the dealership. So I don't think you should ever say you're paying cash. You should always say you're financing. Even small dealerships on used cars are getting a markup on the financing. That's why they offer financing there. Otherwise, every dealership would say, just go to your bank and get the money and come back and let us know which car you want. Number 9, he says, forget the extras. Forget all the extra stuff, the upgraded stereo system and all the power windows and all that. Forget all that other stuff. Save that money. Those are just markups. And don't get the warranty. Use your emergency fund that they teach you in the courses to make sure that you have. Well, here's my deal. You're going to be stuck in that car for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years or more. So get what you want. Get the power stuff that you want. Get the options that you want. You have to live with that car. It's easy for them to say, forget the extras, and then you end up getting a car that you end up hating for the next 3 years. Remember, how you feel about the thing you just bought is really important, and it is a tangible benefit. It's a feeling that you have that you're going to be miserable for the next 3 years if you bought the car without the extra stuff that you would have loved to have had. What I say is negotiate really hard to get that stuff thrown in without raising the price, but get what you want in the car, because after you buy that car, he's right about one thing: it's going to drop in value, and you're not going to get a second bite at that apple without having to write a fat check to get out of it. Look at my last videos. You'll see I made those mistakes already. Next, as far as a warranty, he says don't buy a warranty, use your emergency fund. A car breaking, to me, is not an emergency. It used to be, when I really had no money, a car breaking was a devastating emergency in my life. I mean, it shook my universe. I never want to go back to that place again. Other emergencies, real emergencies, health and safety and serious issues that take place, and roofs leaking and, whatever it is, mold in your house. I mean, bad things that happen in your life that are real critical emergencies. A family member gets injured and hurt and they need some money and they're out of work, whatever. Like, emergencies are what that emergency money's for. I do not believe that emergency funds should be used for fixing a car. That's why you get a warranty. I believe if you buy a used car, you fight for that warranty, because you're going to pay in a car payment, you're going to pay in a warranty, you're going to pay one way or another when you own a car. Just get the warranty. Finance it into the payment for a little bit more. Even if you have to buy a little bit cheaper car, make sure you have the warranty. That way your emergency fund can be used for emergencies like it's intended to be. And then number 10 says 2 are better than 1. Take someone with you. That'll be the voice of reason. That'll help you negotiate and stay strong and firm on what you're trying to accomplish in that dealership. I will tell you right now, that's my wife, and I'm generally not going to take her with me because I don't want somebody to talk me out of it. I want to leave in that car. I'm a grown man, and if I get screwed in that dealership, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to suck it up. I probably paid more than I probably should have for my Hellcat. I don't care. I'm smiling every single day that I drive this thing. I haven't walked out to this car a single day and thought, dang, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. So take somebody with you, but I believe take somebody with you that's going to be the devil on your shoulder, not the angel. And the devil is going to say, do it, man, do it, do it. You know how good you would look in that car? You know how awesome that car is going to be in your driveway? Take that person with you. That way you don't get talked out of it like I did 2 videos ago when I didn't get to buy my Charger at the dealership. I'm going to buy that Charger, and I'll tell you, love my wife, but there's a huge possibility I don't take her with me, and there's a huger possibility that I don't tell her I'm doing it. And judge me if you will, but I'm getting that Charger, and I'm getting that Lamborghini, and I'm getting these cars, and I'm not taking somebody with me who's going to tell me, you should just walk out. No, I'm going to take somebody with me that says, you should figure out how to do it. Leave in that car. All right, folks, thank you so much. I hope this helped you all. I'll leave links in the description to some of the stuff I shared with you, and I appreciate all of you following. Please like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next weekend. Bye-bye.
The Prius in for a Charger.
I want a Charger.
Like, what is wrong with your brain? Like, oh, I'm going to get a Lamborghini, and then I'm going to trade the Prius in and get
A Charger.
a Charger.
Yeah, I'll have to do it. So what you and me need to do? Yeah. Don't you have to go to the bathroom, honey? I have to talk to this man.
I do. Where's your restroom?